can you point out to our viewers, I guess, those events that led to his resignation in the first place?
Holy cow, there's a lot. I think it... How long is this segment? 10 minutes? It started with, Jason Kenney saying, we're going to take, and these were his words, a more South Dakotan approach to COVID protocols. South Dakota, as you know, Governor Kristi Noem, she didn't lock down. Never once. She just carried about her business. They protected the vulnerable and then let everybody else live their lives and recognize that they were grown-ups who could make their own decisions. Jason Kenney promised Albertans that he would be that guy. And we expected him to be that guy because I think that's the conservative approach, that you don't need big government to help you make your health choices. But then he wasn't. Then all of a sudden, he was locking us down, closing our businesses, closing our restaurants, and limiting our churches. And canceling activities, making people wear masks, kids wear masks. And so people thought, oh my goodness, that's a lot. But then he reopened and apologized, saying, I should not have made some businesses essential and others not. Albertans forgave and moved on. But then the next lockdown came. And then Jason Kenney, who said he didn't know what a vaccine passport even was, and once he figured it out, decided, well, those things are unconstitutional, brought us in one of his own. And so a lot of Albertans resented that. Something he said would be illegal, he was then doing himself. He also said if Albertans ran out and got a vaccine that they didn't actually want, that he would open the province up and open it up for good. It was called the best summer ever. But the best summer ever led to the fall and winter of discontent and disappointment when Jason Kenney, after promising people, just get your vaccine and everything will be open again, locked everything down again and brought in that vaccine passport. And I think it was the flip-flopping, and the icing on the cake. I think good for about 10 or 15% in that leadership review was the locking up of pastors, the confiscating of churches, the confiscating of businesses, seeing pastors like James Coates and Tim Stevens and Pastor Art Pawlowski perp-walked out of their homes, their churches, like common criminals, seeing the arrests of business owners, the shuttering of businesses, Chris Scott of the Whistle Stop having his property seized and then arrested for holding a protest against the government seizing his property and him spending 3 days in jail. I think seeing that sort of stuff, the sort of stuff that we saw then Jason Kenney do to the convoy to Ottawa, and then Jason Kenney say Justin Trudeau was wrong when he did it to the convoy to Ottawa, but was perfectly fine when he was doing it to pastors and business owners and resistors here. I think that is what really cost him the 2/3 that you really do need to maintain the confidence of the party. I think that last little bit, people just couldn't stomach and they couldn't get over it.
Here's the thing, Sheila. Here in Ontario, we've seen a similar narrative. We saw Doug Ford. He was not going to be about lockdowns. We get locked down. Well, unless you're part of a select few, like the provincially owned Liquor Control Board of Ontario and the Ford family-owned Deco labels. No vaccine passports, vaccine passports. What I'm getting at is when you listen to Doug Ford, he basically says, folks, if it were up to me, I'd open everything up tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. But it's the team, you see. It's the team making these decisions. My question to you, Sheila, in terms of Premier Kenney and Alberta, is this Premier Kenney acting on his own political instincts? Or are there people behind the scenes that are kind of like, puppet masters? They're forcing him to make these decisions. What do you think?
No, I think Jason Kenney is his own man who made his own bad decisions. And finally last night or Wednesday night, he made a good one when he resigned. It is Jason Kenney and nobody else who is making the decision to be up on the infamous Sky Palace patio as private social gatherings were banned in Alberta. Jason Kenney was up in a building that we've dubbed the Sky Palace here in Alberta because of its history. He was up there having a private dinner and a whiskey party with some of his MLAs and cabinet ministers. That image, that's Jason Kenney. That's not any puppet masters. And, Jason Kenney has said all along that it's him making the decisions. He listens to the advice of his public health officers, but ultimately it's him and cabinet who are making these decisions. And on Wednesday night, he fell on his sword, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Hey folks, that was an excerpt from my show, Rebel Roundup. Now, to get the full meal deal, why not go to Rebel News Plus, sign up, and never miss a Rebel News Plus show in the future.